Long before the documentaries, long before the lawsuits, long before the endless debates online, there was a man standing at the center of global fame unlike anything the world had ever seen. Millions adored him, millions defended him, and millions questioned him. Because behind the music, behind the moonwalk, behind the screaming crowds, Michael Jackson had become something far larger than a celebrity. He became a mystery, a man capable of inspiring extraordinary love, while also becoming the center of some of the most disturbing allegations in entertainment history. And even today, decades later, people still argue about the same terrifying question. Who was Michael Jackson? Really? Was he an emotionally damaged superstar trapped inside a lost childhood? A misunderstood celebrity destroyed by fame and media obsession? Or was there something darker hidden behind the image the world desperately wanted to believe? Because as investigators, journalists, former employees, lawyers, and accusers stepped forward over the years, the Michael Jackson story became more than entertainment news. It became a global cultural war, one involving fame, money, childhood trauma, psychology, media manipulation, power, and allegations that continue dividing the world even after his death. This is the hidden truth about the Michael Jackson allegations. Before the accusations, before the headlines, before the courtroom battles, there was a child, a small boy growing up inside a crowded house in Gary, Indiana under the strict control of his father, Joe Jackson. From an early age, Michael Jackson lived under pressure most children could never imagine. Rehearsals lasted for hours. Mistakes reportedly brought punishment. Perfection became expectation. And eventually, that pressure created one of the most successful entertainers in human history. The world watched Michael transform from child star into global phenomenon. The Jackson 5, Motown, Off the Wall, Thriller. By the 1980s, Michael Jackson was no longer simply famous. He was untouchable. Fans fainted at concerts. Media followed him constantly. Every movement became global news. But behind the success, many people close to him noticed something unusual. Michael often seemed emotionally disconnected from adulthood itself. He spoke openly about loneliness, about missing childhood, about never experiencing normal life. And eventually, that emotional isolation would become central to the controversy that later surrounded him. In the late 1980s, Michael Jackson created Neverland Ranch. To many fans, it looked magical, an enormous property filled with amusement rides, animals, movie theaters, arcades, and attractions designed around childhood fantasy. Michael often described Neverland as a place where children could feel safe and happy. But over time, critics began asking uncomfortable questions. Why did an adult superstar surround himself so heavily with children? Why were young boys frequently seen visiting Neverland? And why did Michael openly admit to sharing his home, and sometimes even bedrooms, with children? To his defenders, the explanation was simple. Michael Jackson psychologically remained connected to childhood because he believed his own had been stolen. To others, the behavior looked deeply inappropriate. And eventually, those concerns exploded publicly. In 1993, the first major allegations against Michael Jackson became international news. A young boy named Jordan Chandler accused Michael of inappropriate conduct. The media exploded instantly. Television stations covered the case non-stop. Tabloids published disturbing headlines daily. Public opinion became chaotic. For the first time, Michael Jackson's image began collapsing under suspicion. Police launched investigations. Authorities searched Neverland Ranch. Lawyers entered battle. And suddenly, the most famous entertainer in the world was facing allegations capable of destroying everything. Michael denied the accusations completely. His supporters argued the allegations were financially motivated, the family wanted money, and Michael was being targeted because of his fame. Critics argued something very different. They pointed toward his behavior around children, his emotional relationships with boys, and his admitted habit of sharing sleeping spaces with minors. The world became divided, and it would remain divided for decades. As the allegations intensified, Michael Jackson entered one of the darkest periods of his life. The media scrutiny became relentless. Every interview, every photograph, every friendship, every action was now viewed through suspicion. News networks debated him constantly. Comedians mocked him. Tabloids sensationalized him. Psychologists analyzed him publicly. And perhaps most importantly, Michael Jackson's own appearance had changed dramatically over the years. That intensified public fascination even further. To supporters, he became a tragic figure, emotionally damaged, isolated, misunderstood, and psychologically broken by fame. To critics, he became increasingly suspicious. Meanwhile, the legal battle surrounding the allegations continued growing more complicated. Eventually, the 1993 civil case ended in financial settlement. That decision became one of the most controversial aspects of the entire story. Supporters argued settlement was designed to end media chaos and protect Michael's career. Critics argued innocent people do not pay enormous settlements in cases involving such serious allegations. The debate never truly ended. Years passed. Michael Jackson continued performing, continued releasing music, continued living under enormous public scrutiny. But the allegations never fully disappeared. Then came new accusations. In the early 2000s, another investigation exploded publicly. This time involving accusations connected to a young cancer survivor named Gavin Arvizo. And once again, the world watched Michael Jackson enter a courtroom. The 2005 trial became one of the biggest celebrity legal battles in modern history. Cameras followed every movement. Fans gathered outside daily. Media coverage became obsessive. Prosecutors argued Michael Jackson had crossed dangerous boundaries with children. The defense argued the accusations were fabricated for money and attention. Witnesses testified. Former employees spoke publicly. Psychologists debated behavior patterns. And through it all, Michael Jackson appeared physically and emotionally exhausted. Then finally, after months of proceedings, the verdict arrived. Michael Jackson was acquitted on all criminal charges. To supporters, the acquittal proved his innocence. To critics, the verdict did not erase suspicion. And once again, the world remained deeply divided. One reason the Michael Jackson story remains so emotionally complicated is because people often interpret him psychologically in completely different ways. Some experts believed Michael displayed signs of profound emotional regression connected to childhood trauma and fame. Others believed his behavior around children crossed dangerous boundaries regardless of intent. And perhaps the most uncomfortable reality is this: both ideas can exist in public discussion simultaneously. Because Michael Jackson was not psychologically easy to categorize. He was a global superstar, a former child performer, a deeply isolated celebrity, a man openly obsessed with childhood innocence, and someone who often appeared emotionally disconnected from normal adult life. That complexity made the allegations impossible to discuss simply. And even today, people continue arguing over the same question. Did the world misunderstand Michael Jackson? Or did fame allow disturbing behavior to remain protected for too long? On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson died. And almost immediately, the debate surrounding him intensified again. Some people focused entirely on his music and legacy. Others argued the allegations should never be forgotten. Then, years later, the documentary Leaving Neverland reignited global controversy once again. Former accusers Wade Robson and James Safechuck described allegations against Michael Jackson in emotional detail. The documentary shocked millions. Some viewers believed the stories completely. Others fiercely rejected them. Michael Jackson's family and estate strongly denied the allegations and criticized the documentary heavily. And once again, the world divided into opposing sides. Supporters defended Michael passionately. Critics argued the documentary exposed hidden truth. Social media exploded with endless debate. Even after death, Michael Jackson remained one of the most controversial figures in entertainment history. Today, the Michael Jackson allegations remain one of the most emotionally divisive subjects in modern culture. Because unlike many criminal cases, there was never one single ending accepted by everyone. There are people who fully believe the allegations, people who fully reject them, and millions trapped somewhere uncertain in between. And perhaps that uncertainty is exactly why the story continues haunting people decades later. Because Michael Jackson represented contradiction itself, innocence and controversy, childhood and fame, joy and loneliness, admiration and suspicion. The world saw him as a genius, a victim, a mystery, a superstar, and for some people, something far darker. But regardless of belief, one reality remains undeniable. Michael Jackson changed global culture forever. And even now, years after his death, the world is still arguing over who he truly was behind the music. Because sometimes, the most unsettling stories are not the ones people solve. They are the ones people never stop debating. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to True Crime Story Vault for more psychological investigations, hidden celebrity stories, courtroom mysteries, disturbing controversies, and dark untold stories behind fame. And remember, sometimes the most complicated mysteries are the ones hidden behind the people the world thought it knew best.